Greetings, tokers, jokers, and smokers. It's not 117, it's 1217. We played a trick on you. No, I'm joking. I just figured we'd get a jump start on the day. Today, we're going to be changing it up a little bit. We're going to be sending it out to a lot more areas. We're getting, familiar with how we're doing things. So bear with us, y'all. But this episode just absolutely had to hit you live. Personal choice. It is what it is. But my tokers, jokers, and smokers, my name is Chef Rodney 117. And my game is being sardonic as hell. I love switching that up too. I love to cook, write, and smoke a lot. But what interests me the most is my insatiable interest in the universe around me. In this case, cannabis specifically, y'all. So come join me for some meaningful conversations with some of the most influential and pioneering individuals in the cannabis industry today. Here's a look at who they are, what they do, where they came from, and why they do what they do. And last but not least, where we can expect them to go from this point on. Here at the Daily Chronicles, we've created 5 W's to help you figure this out. Help us figure this out, really. Who doesn't like a little win, a little W now and then, right? So let's get into it. This is the deliciously dope Daily Chronicles coming at ya. Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Chronicles. I'm the host with the most, Chef Rodney 117. Yo, what's the topic today, y'all? Terpene talk, temperatures. Let's talk everything tasty. What better person to talk about with temperatures and things tasty than a sommelier? I mean, our guest today is a 15-year veteran of the food and beverage industry, certified sommelier, and he's worked with some of the most hottest restaurants and biggest wine lists in all of Chicago. The beginning of 2020, when the restaurant industry collapsed due to COVID, we all know what happened there, y'all. We all know what happened there. Everybody was hurting, but the restaurant industry and kind of wine industry and beverage industry and all of that, even more so. Hearts out to y'all in the field there. But he found himself without a job or a career path, as many people did. Myself included. What do you do to pivot from that? So that's when he decided to stop thinking about, to stop thinking and just start doing his YouTube channel thing. And then he's really just put that final foot forward and he came out with, YouTube, his show, Cannabev. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's it's absolutely amazing. That's I love it. A personal fan of it. I kind of creeped from, a lurker for a while, and I finally said something. So, huge shout out to him. It's amazing there. But it was really created to bring the world of cannabis and beverages, like in this case, wine or so, together. By utilizing the skills that he's learned as a sommelier, he definitely knows, how to explain the unique smells of terpene profiles in cannabis. And I think that that's definitely helpful to someone that's like me, that cooks it or wants to know more about it. I think that a conversation between him and myself about the endocannabinoid system and terpenes is going to be an amazing topic of discussion. Without any other further ado, y'all, I can't do it justice, man. Here he is, the man of the hour, Mr. CHRIS RHODE. How you doing, Chris? Hey, 2 seconds. I muted your mic. Let's try this again. Oh no, you muted your mic. Your mic's muted. There it is.
All right.
How you doing, Chris?
All right. I'm very well, Chef Rodney. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
This is great.
Thanks for being
cool.
here, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So tell me about Cannabev, man. Like that's your jam. Like I really like that.
That is my jam. Yeah, man. I mean, really, it came out of nowhere. I mean, for years, I kind of sat and talk about, oh, I want to do a YouTube channel. I want to do a YouTube channel. I think I have a unique view on, wine, beer, spirits, that kind of thing, but I didn't really allow myself the space, to do so. Plus, time, of course,
Right.
The most precious of resources. Right. And, I thought I became a certified sommelier, 2019 of October. COVID happens, February, March of 2020. Next thing you know, wine jobs disappear, restaurant industry disappears, and all that. And then I was like, all right, well, shit, I got time. I've got the education. Cannabis is something that I'm passionate about. The old heads of wine are established. They are what they are. That kind of thing. None of these people are going to, want to work with my biz. It's like, well, I'm sick of talking about it. Let's do it for myself. And that's where Cannabev came from. It was like, all right, well, the chemistry, the science of cannabis and the world of wine are really not that far apart. I mean, the most common, smell a hoppy IPA. It smells like really good fresh weed. Why? Because, the terpenes myrcene and humulene are incredibly prevalent in hops themselves. Same as, really fresh, cannabis. Pyrazines and terpenes in wine give wine a, citrus or a like jalapeno or green pepper flavor to it. Same thing, same terpenes and pyrazines that you find in cannabis, you find in wine. And I was like, all right, let's bring these worlds together. It's something I'm passionate about. It's cool. It's something I've enjoyed. And to be perfectly honest, cannabis is something that's allowed me to take the steps to create Cannabev. Lots of anxiety, you don't know what you're doing, you have no experience with Adobe, Suite, why waste your time? Nobody's going to watch, that kind of thing. And cannabis allows me to be a little bit more patient with myself, sit down, educate myself on how to make it, educate myself about cannabis, and then execute. So yeah, man, it's been crazy. It's been great. It's actually probably one of the most satisfying things I've ever done.
I enjoy all of that. I enjoy hearing all of that. It's you definitely can tell the passion, you can tell the knowledge. And I think that it's finally someone, you've heard someone's coming out and saying, hey, terpenes matter, because we need to have these things like terpenes talk. Because what if I told you that sativa and indica aren't really a thing? You see what I'm saying? What if I told you that it was really just the terpenes that matter? And that's the point, and I'm guilty of this myself. No one's perfect. All of us human. I've allowed sativa and indica to become part of my brain, and I grew up with this and that and da 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 da. You hear this, but that's not how it works. You understand? Terpenes. Let's for those of you who don't know, terpenes are basically the smell profile of certain cannabinoids. You see what I'm saying? That allow for certain cannabinoids, or a spectrum of certain cannabinoids, to be absorbed by our endocannabinoid system. So basically think of it like this, okay? Terpenes are the flower, okay, that carries like the smell to your nose. For example, if a dog is sick, a dog is a mammal, and all mammals have endocannabinoid systems, okay? So terpenes matter for all mammals, which is, everything giving live birth. Dogs, when they get an upset stomach, what do? They eat grass, because they know that the terpenes in grass do one of two things. Either one, it'll stop them from vomiting, or two, it'll induce vomiting. There's really that's it. They know this. So, here we are like, oh, stop eating grass. You're not a cow, dumb animal. Really? It's the exact opposite. That animal was smart enough to go, hey, if I eat this, guess what happens? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, and I think this is, emblematic of, the kind of mindset that's been, created for centuries at this point, is about, how dangerous cannabis is and what it's going to do to you and turn you into, or, not turn you into, or what have you. And it's like, these flowers have been around this for, millennia at this juncture, and there's a reason why, animals consume certain flowers that are out there to heal themselves, to settle their stomach, or whenever they have, some kind of ailment and stuff like that. These animals know this. I mean, it's a very human-centric, kind of mindset that we have, that we're somehow, extra special, unique, in our environment around us. And I guess we are, the cerebral cortex thing, but we're still animals, and, long before, the comforts that we live in, we lived off of the things that we found, out there. It wasn't always produced in a lab. And I think, cannabis is in a very unique position to really kind of hammer home and prove like how the flowers and the herbs around us can really impact our day in a very, very positive way. And having discussion about terpenes and how they affect us in our endocannabinoid system.
There you go, attaboy.
On that note,
there you go. I'll take a bong tote to that.
Right, it's going to make me enunciate much better. Smoking weed always makes me enunciate better. But yeah, but how
I feel better about my life.
It brings a little bit more peace to my day.
There you go.
That's for sure. I know a dude. He says cannabis helps make him less annoyed with people.
I'm good with that.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's a good place to be. But yeah, I mean, cannabis offers a lot more to a lot of people than people think. And that's kind of one of the other important things about, Cannabev, and specifically, a lot what you do is kind of breaking that down. And it's like, are you nauseous? There's cannabis that can help you with this. Are you having difficulty eating? Are you having difficulty sleeping?
Right.
Are you having difficulty finding motivation to go to the gym or just go about your day? It's like, there's cannabis strains, because of their terpenes and how they all work together, can help be a benefit to your day. And breaking down that stigma and all that stuff is what the channel is all about.
Absolutely. And that's, I believe that in order to really get the message out there, excuse me, bong rip, we need to kind of combine together, because it's like, here's the thing, bro. What people really, the question people aren't really is asking, the one thing that people aren't really thinking, and I'm not, condoning anything that's like anarchist, no, hear me out though.
Okay.
So what if a lot of cannabis was considered normal practice, and a lot of this information or whatever, and all of these things that, let's face it, we may or may not have documented, or in an attempt to making cannabis illegal, just eradicated? What information was lost? Because we're finding out that the government had patents on this shit the whole time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
that's my point. And so, with that conspiracy theory tinged, concept there, I want to.
I don't know if that's conspiracy theory at all, though. I mean,
here's the thing. Even with conspiracy theories, there is still a truth to it. And then how much is truth, how much is fiction, we don't know. But I can tell you that, the government's admitted that they hid the information. The government said all of those conspiracy theories that people are like, oh, that's made up about the timber industry. Yeah, it's not. You feel me? The government has confirmed this. It's been confirmed. It's come out now. What else were they hiding? What else did they get a chance to destroy before we got a chance to find out? You see what I'm saying? That's where my head's, and I'm not even looking at that as like, oh, well, if Abraham Lincoln, no. I just want to know. That's it. It's just if you were to come up to me and be like, yo, real talk, Area 51, it's real. But that's it. That's what I want to know. That's it. Just make me believe it's real. Show me some credible pictures. Like, if you did find weed in a King Tut's tomb or something, let me see that shit. Can we grow those seeds? Like, it'd be dope as hell. Literally. Yeah. Be like, yo, that's called King Tut. Why? Well, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. But that's my point. Like, what if King Tut's, was actually like the new Jack Herrera of our time or whatever? I don't know, man. It's our boy Walter's got a good point. They have a crap load all the way back to President Washington. So what if they just said, the cannabis file, incinerate it, C-file that shit, like 86 it, get rid of it, like it never existed. And they're like, what? You're like, you heard me. I'm Truman. Let it ablaze, or some bullshit like that. I don't know, man. That's why you and I are here. There's more information to this that people want to know. We could go all day about how it's no longer known as the entourage effect, but it's the ensemble. We learn these new things every day with the leaps and bounds that we're making medically, and not just medically, but, the more of a stigma that you erase, the more you can learn underneath, you know, the mistake, if you will, or whatever you have, you know. So that's where we're at. We're kind of rewriting these books and logging these things. You know what I'm saying? Some of your profile reviews, you know, at, you know, your Cannabev YouTube, bro, spot on. I was like, shit, he just illustrated this painting of a beautiful nugget in my head. Now I want to go smoke weed. So I blame you.
I take full responsibility. Yeah, dude. No, I mean, that's great. That's great to hear, actually. You know, in a lot of instances, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to kind of talk about, you know, what you're tasting, you know, what you're smelling, that kind of thing. But once you kind of create the vocabulary, you know, get the vocabulary in your head and get comfortable with talking about it, it becomes much easier. At least that's the way it was for me when I'm learning about wine. And it's like, oh, I know what this taste is. I know what this taste is, but I don't know, you know, how to, you know, what the thing actually is. And, you know, and then it's like, it tastes like, you know, it's a watermelon Jolly Rancher, which doesn't actually taste like watermelon. It tastes like, you know, their version of it. But you know what I mean when, you know, when you talk about it, you know, and that's really what I, you know, what my goal is with Cannabev. It's like, listen, like, I don't know how it is in your guys' market, but it's $60 an eighth here. You know, that's with that's being a medicinal. Yeah. And we can talk about that too if you want. But like, it's $60 an eighth. That's if you're medicinal. If you're not, if you're rec, your taxes get it up to 75 or 80 bucks.
No,
could be even more than that.
Highway fucking
Craziness.
Robbery,
dude. And you get what you get. You don't get to see your weed. You don't get to smell your weed. None of that. You get what you get. You know, if you ask, you can ask a few questions about when its testing date is. Which I always recommend, and I don't always follow my own recommendations on that, but like, like you get what you get. So it's like, for me, 60, like, I guess I'm privileged to the point where I guess I can afford $60, but say you're a medicinal patient who can't really afford, you know, spending more than $60 on an eighth, and you go home and you get shit, or you don't know what to expect. Cannabev is trying to, you know, fill in some of those spaces for you. You're going to come home, you're going to taste this, you're going to smell this, and you're going to have an effect that's kind of similar to this, though, once again, everybody's experience is different. And it's like, in order to break down all of the, you know, the mystique surrounding about it, like, just like you say, we have to talk about it, and we have to have these conversations. Otherwise, you know, for one, you know, nobody wants to take the, I guess, quote unquote, risk of spending, you know, $60 on something that's not going to give them the effect that they want. You know, that's going to give them anxiety, or going to put the, you know, in a moment where they're trying to calm down, or is going to put them to sleep when, you know, it's time to go to work, or you have stuff to do around the house, that kind of stuff. And hopefully Cannabev, you know, I guess the value for the consumer is that it'll help save them spending $60 on something that's not for them.
Right. I mean, look at it this way, y'all. So back in the day, we went from here, eat this herb, to here, eat this root, to here, eat this pill, and we stuck on pills, you know, drink this tincture. Medicine has evolved. Okay. Cannabis used to was a medicine. It still is a fucking medicine. And that's my point. You know, and now they're like, all right, smoke this. Yo, we need to make sure we stop that, because look what happened with the pill crisis. That shit was killing us. You know what I'm saying? Make you feel real good, but it'd also kill you too. There's no side effects with hungry, happy, sleepy. That's it. You smoke weed, guess what? Hungry, happy, sleepy. That means restaurants are doing good. Hotels are going to be doing fucking great. You're going to buy a new mattress because you sell a lot of couches, TVs. Netflix is going to go through the fucking roof. You know what I'm saying? That's why the pandemic did great. Hungry, happy, sleepy. There's your side effects. As long as you had money coming in, people started growing weed, you get the idea. So we got to make sure we don't let big corporations or big pharma or anybody like that keep taxing our shit. You don't like the tax, that's when you need to speak up and speak out and go vote. Your vote fucking matters. I'm not saying that. Notice there's no presidential election going on. Talk to your local, you know, government, talk to your state government, talk to your representatives. That's what we did here in Michigan. And guess what? They fucking listened, y'all. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, bro, real talk, if you were to come to, you know, Michigan with your license, you can go into a dispensary because they sell rec. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to beat prices cheaper than that. I'm going to tell you real quick. This isn't really, I don't get paid for saying this. It's a personal opinion, but I was in, where was I? The Nunica Skymint location this weekend, you know, on Easter. They were open. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't bring anything with me. I'm about to, you know, go sit down and have Easter dinner. I'm gonna smoke a joint first. Like that's what's gonna happen. So I stopped in. One of the things you never really want to do is judge dispo by their pre-joints. But dude, I'm in a rush. I only had so much cash. Yeah, I didn't have time. You know what I'm saying? I was like, just give me this and let's go. So I bought a couple free rolls. And for being a first-time customer, they gave me a free roll. So shout out. Thank you. So Skymint Nunica did a bomb job. I had their Citrix, I believe it was called, and their like sour cherry or something. Okay. One was a 2-pack, one was, was a single. That was some pretty damn good dispensary weed. I'm not going to lie to you. And I walked out of there paying a really good price. You know what I'm saying? I felt good about that. I was like, we can do this. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. I've also went to Riverside Provisions in in Grayling here. I haven't been to their Kalkaska yet, but I've been to their Gaylord location. Real nice. It gets progressively better. And that's my point. You're going to notice prices going down and, all these dispensaries and these mom and pops and all of these other businesses progressively getting better. For example, it's coming down the pipeline. We have some awesome changes coming to Michigan law. We're talking about consumption lounges soon, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about that leads to restaurants, that leads to all kinds of crazy things going on here. And we're not going to see, Ryan was just on the show, Ryan Bayshore. He's, got a huge hand in all this. We're not going to see the peak of this till at least the minimum of 2025. You feel me? Like that's the peak, y'all. And that's not even the plateau. It's not going to crash. You feel me? Like that's not how that works, but yeah. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm working on a book I hope to drop. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just it. I got a lot of amazing shit. Deliciously Dope TV popping off. Cannabev popping off, dude. Like, it's, that's just where it's at. I mean, if you want information, what more real information can you get? You know what I'm saying? But Michigan, absolutely. Speak up, speak out. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
No. Like, there's a motivated, consumer base out there. We want to talk about, like, getting out of the pandemic economy. Like, cannabis is a tremendous opportunity. There's tons of people, we can create, hundreds of thousands of jobs, if you want to go federally legal, or, more and more states, we're talking tens of thousands of more jobs, more revenues, I would imagine every state in the, in the country have some kind of, budget shortfall. All right, let's pass cannabis legislation and start plugging those gaps. There's an opportunity here.
Right. I got a quick question. Okay. A quick question, and then I've been yakking, but here's the way I look at it. I don't really consider myself a political person, so I don't pick red or blue. It doesn't matter. I want a tax-paying American citizen that isn't really given much of a choice. You feel me? So that's where I'm at with that. But I found I read some interesting information somewhere that said that if we do go federally legal here in the United States, that it's going to hurt the Mexican drug cartels. That is what the headline said. Okay. Well, wouldn't that appeal to a certain color of politics here in America? You see my point? They wanted to build a wall to keep them out. You see what I'm saying? So maybe that has something to do with the legalization being pushed through by both parties, because they got to agree on it. If they can't agree on it, it don't become a thing. It doesn't get done. You see my point? So inevitably, politics shouldn't be in cannabis, but it does exist, and it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the real color that matters is green.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think once again, I think something is there's huge opportunity for cannabis, for all the peripheral industry benefits, right? All those extra revenues, that's going to help everybody. And I think there's actually a real opportunity here, as far as passing legalization at a federal level. Even though, get political on it, like the White House is lukewarm on it, I guess at best. Right. It's mostly no, but the Senate is down for it. And it is an opportunity for both sides to say, hey, we passed a piece of bipartisan legislation that affects everybody. It's a win politically for everybody. Oh, yeah. But, there's still, bullshit and, backroom deals and stuff like that. There's also plenty of people who say, like, legalization on a federal level is a big handing it over to the big tobacco and big alcohol. big wine, big spirits, all that kind of shit. And that's something to think about too. Interstate commerce is going to be a big thing coming up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. But aside from interstate commerce, we could sit here and chit chat about that, but I don't really give a shit about them. It's not about them. It's about what we're doing here, man, trying to get rid of the stigma. And what better way to get rid of the stigma than figure out where the fuck you came from, and kind of why you're doing what you're doing. You feel me, man? So producer says we're ready, man. We're ready to do this. If you want, we have a gauntlet. No one's ever died doing this. We have these things called the W's, a couple of little ditties, man. The who, what, when, where, and whys of who you are and where you came from. So, Chris, my man, if you're ready, if you want to dive right in, we'll do it.
I'm ready for the challenge.
Let's do it. Into the gauntlet we go. First time W's, Chris. Who, what, when, where, and why? Who was the first person you ever smoked weed with?
My buddy Mike.
Mike. All right. I love it, man. Let's hear more about what you and Mike did. First time W's, who, what, when, where, and why. What was the first thing that you smoked with Mike? Was it a bong, joint, dab, spliff, pop can?
No, we had this old ass, nasty, screenless metal pipe that we got from
those
someone.
cheapy boys. Yeah. The one with the screws. You can screw it. Yeah.
Oh, you know the kind. Yeah.
It's like laser. You're like, yo, but bro, this is laser etched for $10, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I smoke out of it, right?
Right. I hate it when those things get the cash. You get a toothpick and dig them out. Oh, I hated those.
Oh, you got to take it put it on a cigarette when you're out of weed. You make resin cigarettes when you're out of weed with that. But that's terrible. That's when you're desperate. That's when you're desperate.
100%. 100%. All right. Oh, that's terrible. I know. I so many memories came back. I was like, digging through roaches. No, I'm just, I can't. I'm not a person that collects my roaches. I throw them away. It's off to the universe. That's for the homies. That's for the homies.
I'm happy I've moved on from that point of my life. Well, I'm very happy about that.
We're in a good place. We're in a good place, man. Who, what, when, where, and why? First time W's. When was your first time smoking a joint?
Sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
First time W's. Yeah, no, sophomore year of high school. Go ahead. Sorry.
13, 14, something like that. We were the bad kids. So, I mean, we were the bad kids, a couple of white kids with weed. Like the only thing we ended up doing was hanging out and eating all the food in my parents' house. And I think that's actually the thing that actually pissed them off more than us actually being stoked. Wow. Like you can't invite your friends over to empty out all the leftovers in the fridge.
Well, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. I feel you. I've definitely been blamed for clearing out some fridges in my time, and whether I told those people I was stoned or not, I still eventually paid for it or made them food or something. I figured it out. But if I owe you a bologna sandwich or something from my childhood, dude, hit me up. It's fine. If you're hung up on that bologna sandwich, that's fine. Let me know. But otherwise, I feel you. But that's a pretty early age, But at the same time, you said you were the badasses, so you're like, yeah, we got to do this.
I don't know about badasses, but certainly the bad kids. We were certainly the ones that were ready to talk back or talk some shit about something. But yeah, like it was cool as hell. Like at first we weren't successful the first time we attempted, and then the next time when we finally got stoned, that's when we took advantage of the Whopper for $2 special at the Burger King. And that was fun too. There you go. And I had to deal with that fallout as well.
A fallout at a Burger King? Oh, that's Burger King Fallout. That's a good title of a movie right there. I like that. All right, first time.
Or like a ska band or something.
Oh yeah, Burger King Fallout. Yeah, there you go. I like it. Like a nice punk rock song. Yeah, like get Iggy Pop behind it. I'm with it. First time W's. Who, what, when, where, and why? Where were you when you first smoked weed? With you think you said it was Mike or Dave?
Mike. We were getting stoned in his 1988 Cavalier, Chevy Cavalier. We went over to where we play where I used to play youth baseball. It was a huge parking lot, and we thought we were being all secretive about it because we were bad as well, because there's stigma around cannabis.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're hanging out, like smoking. It's like, stop working up, working on, and then bam, and then we just started, giggling like a bunch of children, just looking at it was the most hilarious thing that had ever existed, and this song was the greatest song that ever existed.
No, I feel that, man. Like, I remember one of the first times I ever smoked a blunt was with some culinary kids in school. And it was a co-op program, like in high school. It's called the Career Center, and a bunch of local kids, in the area went to it. And we were all the culinary kids. We were like, let's skip today and go smoke weed. I'm like, yeah, let's do all of that. So we drove to a local apartment complex here in Lansing. We already had it, we rolled it up on the way there. You get 6 kids in chef coats all in this big, huge van that looked like the A-team. They're like, let's smoke box it. It's the middle of winter. So we're like, all right. Well, then we did what's called a Michigan freeze out, where like you smoke box something and then you roll down all the windows, and then it's really cold. So you get sober decently quick because you're freezing your ass off, but it also kicks out most of the smoke. As soon as you do that, a cop's like, there they go. Like, come on. It's a dead giveaway. So, you're an idiot, but we were 14, 15, 16 years old, so what did we know, right? Right.
Well, you guys
speaking
are the
of what we know,
of the world at the moment.
Right.
Like we're bad as hell. We got weed.
We're cooler than you are for some reason. We don't. It's in the end, it is what it is. Speaking of in the end being is what it is, first time W's, who, what, when, where, and why, to tie it up in a neat little bow, man, for the first time W's. Why did you do it?
To be cool. No, I mean, we were curious. I was curious about it. I thought it would be something different to experience. Like, as a child of dare, they turn it into something that it's not. Right. So it's like, worst case scenario. This turns into the Magical Mystery Tour, which I've never consumed enough cannabis to get to that point.
Right.
And it was just kind of like, it was something, kind of, off limits to do, once again, dare doing the opposite of what it was supposed to be doing. It created a mystique, which made it cool, which made it like that much more appealing. And then like, when I finally, had my lift on, it was like, this is cool. This is awesome. And, since then my relationship with cannabis has kind of moved on, but it's always kind of been something that's kind of allowed me to kind of enjoy myself and kind of, push away some of the anxieties and kind of the self-consciousness that prevents me from doing some of the shit that I want to do.
Right.
Hence Cannabev and on all of this kind of stuff. And it's, I guess what this conversation is kind of point on is, my experience with cannabis has essentially been kind of almost a repetition of that moment without, all the giggling like a bunch of schoolboys.
Yeah, speaking of which, that actually leads us right into our second segment of the show here called Favorite W's. So this gives us a chance by asking who, what, when, where, and why of your favorite things, of kind of like, what's the vibe like, man? Like if I come and smoke at your house, what can I expect? Kind of like, what you do. You know what I mean? So if you're ready, man, we could backflip back into that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, my brother. Favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Who is your favorite person to smoke weed with?
My buddy Justin.
All right.
My buddy Justin, who lives out in LA. Yeah, we used to we lived off campus in undergrad, and essentially we consumed copious amounts of weed together throughout undergrad, and conversations are good, and we end up playing, video games like Dig Dug and Mortal Kombat.
You're dating yourself there, sir. You're dating yourself.
Hey, dude, like I dated myself, and every time I do something like this, it's like, listen, like the Dig Dug, like we didn't like go out. That's like, we went out to the Wally World, and they had the little, it's like a box about this big with a little joystick on it that has like 5 games. Play that for hours. For hours. And then, with the breaks of Bob Ross episodes in between.
Yeah. Yeah, you got kids know my KD ratio is this. Yeah, I'll beat your ass with some snake. Don't even come at me.
Yeah, dude, right?
Don't even come at me, man.
Don't even.
Favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why. What is your favorite way, buddy, to consume cannabis? Like, is it joints, bongs?
Joints, dude. Joints, hands down. Yeah. I love the ritual of smoking weed. Love the ritual of smoking weed.
Who doesn't, man?
Dude, listen. You know, holding a cigarette like this, you know, like this, smoking makes you look cool. It's just the way it is. Like, as somebody, you know, born in the 80s, you know, watched, you know, movies in the 90s, like where people smoked, like all the bad motherfuckers smoked, you know, and they look cool doing it. Like, look at classic, you know, movies and stuff like that. Same thing. Like,
Dirty
so there's
Harry.
always this cool mystique.
Yeah.
Right? Dude's bad as hell. Like, don't you want to be bad like that? Well, you know what you got to do. You got to smoke. You got to be cool like that. And then it's like, as a former cigarette smoker, it kind of scratches that itch as well. But I enjoy, like, I mean, my happy place, you know, outside on the back porch, you know, sitting in a chair, you know, having a beverage, you know, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, smoking, you know, smoking a J and having the, you know, the birds coming out of the backyard where it's quiet and chill. It's like zen.
Well, let's add more to that kind of that panoramic idea of like where you would smoke your joints at. So with favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why, like when would this happen? Like when is your favorite time to enjoy a good joint?
After work. Well, I actually have two favorite times. I've got a day off. I'm a consistent wake and baker. Like if you follow me on Instagram, if you look at me on Instagram, you know I'm a consistent wake and baker. But like my favorite, my other time that I like to smoke is like you come home from work, you kind of get yourself settled in, kind of done, comfortable clothes, strike up that joint on the back porch and kind of like, all right, cool. Now I can settle into my personal life and what I got to do. Love
it, man. Love it. Leading us back to it. Favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Where is your favorite current place to smoke weed? You were saying it's kind of your backyard vibe area.
Yeah. I like to. It's one of my shit. I'd like to walk my dog around the neighborhood, and if
is this that new deck you just built?
No. Shit, dude, you just outed me. No, dude, listen, the deck never happened. Oh, no. It wasn't my fault, though. It wasn't my fault. Like, so I was prepping to do all that. And by the way, thank you for watching that episode.
But that's kind of where I was going with that. I was waiting for that, but that's where I was going.
Yeah, dude, like, so listen, like, I got myself all set up. I was looking into plans and stuff like that. I was about to start taking apart the old deck right now to kind of see how it's built so I can essentially reverse engineer it, right? So I go to Home Depot and I'm thinking, all right, it's going to cost like $1,500, $1,800 at most. Right. No, dude, it was like 30% more expensive than that because COVID was happening and supplies were so low and so inconsistent. So I was like, whoa, that is way beyond what I wanna do back here. So the deck never happened, but that's beyond.
I'm sorry.
That's beyond my scope of influence. It's all good, dude. It's all good. Like
I watched the episode.
It'll get done. I've done other things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know some people in your area that are handymen that build decks that'll do you a good deal. If you want to get it done for a really, really, really good price, I know they'll do, you know what I'm saying? So let me reach out, man. I know some good work too. Good work. Cool, we can get that done.
Not against it. Not against
we can get that done. We'll talk. I just wanted to poke fun at that a little bit to kind of show you, man. I've been watching this episode,
it's all good.
You know, like it's
man.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
it's
sorry to rub salt in that wound for you.
No, it's all good. No, dude, it's all good. I was hoping nobody had noticed yet. It's a crazy concept for me to talk to people on Instagram or YouTube or anything like that and be like, oh yeah, like I was watching this episode that you made and like the mentions on, I was like, oh my God, somebody actually watched. And like, it's not like,
shit.
It's not like, it's not like, 75%, dummy accounts that my mom established. And she's a very sweet, very supportive lady. And I appreciate her very, very much. But like, that's just what I figure most of my following is.
And it's fun because it's just like, I talked to somebody today on the phone and I can't release this yet, but I was like, yo, how come you've been doing this, and this in my state? This is somebody from Michigan doing cannabis and you're connected to, all these people. How come I've never heard of you, dude? I'm so sorry. Like, holy shit, this is that moment. And they're like, that's not what matters. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, the fact that I've heard of you, That's what matters. I was like, you're so cute. That's all I said. I was just like, you're adorable. He's like, are we having a different conversation? I was like, I don't know. What do you want to say next? Like, you know, like you keep it coming. Like I'm in it for at least 10 minutes and then I'm over it, you know, but the point is like, that's as bad as it's going to get. It's extremely humbling. And that just happened today. So I'm glad we can kind of share that, you know, in life, and if you will.
Absolutely.
That's insane, which leads us to like the neat little bow. Last question. We know it's coming. Favorite W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Why do you, Cannabev, CHRIS RHODE, why do you smoke weed?
To find peace. Find peace.
There it is, yo.
That's what it's all about. Peace. Right?
You know, I just read something about about psychedelics. Not to change the subject, but it's very similar to cannabis. So, doing psychedelics won't cure you, but it's going to teach you how to heal. It's going to take the anxiety away from it, you know, the fear, all of that. It takes that chemical away from you so that you can find yourself to kind of move forward and do what you got to do. Am I condoning psychedelics? If you want to give it a try, I'm not going to, you know, everybody should do mushrooms at least once in their life. That's my personal, if that's happened for you, cool. If it hasn't, might as well. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, like, with weed, it's extremely similar to that. As a matter of fact, if you ingest too much edibles, you will have a psychedelic effect similar to mushrooms. So do note that. You know what I mean? It's similar to, but not the same. That being said, everybody should definitely learn to heal. And it's just like you said, man, you really can't learn to heal without kind of just being peaceful, man. You know, just that peacefulness. I get it. You know, they say ignorance is bliss. No, knowing thyself is pure bliss. I don't know if I quoted that from somebody, but that sounds fucking cool. You know, so
I agree.
We're going to go with that. That's pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all about.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's all about, you know, finding your peace, right? I mean, cannabis allows me to, you know, and this is a part of my personal journey as far as medicating with cannabis. Like sometimes medicating with cannabis keeps me motivated, keeps me focused. Right. Like I am a master at distracting myself. It's like I'll do shit around the house I don't want to do to avoid working on an episode. Onto the dishwasher, take out the trash. It's like it's stuff that's got to get done, but it doesn't move me along in what I'm trying to do. Cannabis allows me to say, no, we're not going to do the other stuff. We're going to, you know, shoot an episode, edit an episode, send out an email, reach out to this person, kind of thing. With the wrong kind of strain, it can also, you know, stop me from being motivated. It's very, once again, it's very personal and finding the right, you know, strain that works for you in that moment. Cannabis also allows me to be more creative. You know, when people talk to me, you know, friends and family about, like, you know, doing what I do, you know, I once again, I'm very humble about you know, my exposure and the awareness in the marketplace. But it's like I used to always kind of think of kind of silly quips inside my head, you know, when I'm having a joint on the, you know, on the back porch kind of thing, right? And there was never ever a place to put it. You know, I was like, oh, forget it, I'll never do it. Who cares? Like, no one's ever going to hear it. But I thought it was humorous. Now, cannabis allows me those kind of, you know, thinking of those moments, and now I get to put it inside, you know, Cannabev now, you know, to make it more uniquely me. And without cannabis, right, exactly. And it never, without cannabis, it's much harder for me to allow myself to express myself, you know, in an artistic way, you know, on YouTube.
Right.
And yeah, that's great, you know, and to your point, you know, with psychedelics as well, like, you know, those are very unique and very personal experience as well. And, I've, used psychedelics in undergrad and such, and it's like, if you're ready for the experience,
yeah.
It's not I would encourage it. Like, if you're not ready for it, then, I would hedge a bit. But yeah, dude, like, it's, my experience with psychedelics has always been a positive one. Mm-hmm. But once again, unique experience to each person. If you're not ready to, as they say, buy the ticket, take the ride, mm-hmm. Be mindful.
One of my friends who's a huge mushrooms advocate, that's where he graduated to and just stopped, for years. And he has really good shrooms. He always said that, he goes, listen, human beings are different. There's a difference between being spiritual and then a spiritual awakening. Like there's, spiritual, there's two different things. He goes, all you need to know is that people are different, and every person's, mental reset button just may or may not need to be hit more than once. It's not a big deal. That's your out, that's your mental like reset, like everything resets. I was like, oh, that's a good way to look at it. And then that followed by 2 weeks of just solid meat eating mushrooms, nonstop. So, but it worked, you know what I mean? Like I'm alive. So, but the next, I got a couple questions actually real quick before we get into our next section, the crazy W's. That's the section where we really elaborate on things, behind the terpenes. And I'm sure you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when we get to that section. But before we do, I do have a quick question. My producer wanted me to make sure to ask. Have the terpenes affected your beverages? Like, are you adding new terpenes to your beverages now? Like, how are you doing this?
Well, terpenes are something that occur naturally through the growing and fermentation process. Mm-hmm. It's all based off of photosynthesis and things like that. Think of grape on a vine, going through its maturation process
from seed to sediment.
Correct. So like, when this when the grape is developing very early on, it has a lot of acid to it. The sugar hasn't developed because it hasn't had enough, water and sunlight and so on and so forth. In those instances, certain terpenes and pyrazines and all those kind of things and flavonoids, exist. As it matures throughout this growing season itself, the chemical makeup changes. Just like it is in cannabis, through curing processes and so on and so forth. It's very, very similar. They're peripheral, the chemicals are kind of simple, but they're not exactly alike. But I'm guessing you get what I'm saying. Yep. And so nothing's ever added. They're all kind of naturally occurring, just like in cannabis. Now, when we talk about pyrazines and flavonoids and terpenes and stuff like that in wine, those are things that more affect like the olfactory senses. But as far as like a physical impact, I don't know if that's ever been actually investigated. I think they only kind of most wine research or alcohols or research comes from the alcohol perspective as opposed to its chemical makeup. Right. But I'm sure there are, areas of wine that actually do the scientific, impact, physiological impact of alcohol.
No, absolutely. I wonder with a lot of people, unfortunately, contracting the disease, COVID, or knowing about it or not, if it takes away your sense of taste and smell and you're a sommelier, I mean, there's chances it may not come back. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying you had COVID or anything, but I imagine there's people out there.
I haven't.
I'm sure there's people out there that have, that they're a chef or they're tasting and smelling and aromas are their job. I would like to see the science behind that. I'd like to see, okay, are we doing studies for this? Are we trying to give this back to people? Can weed help? And things like that. So it's, dude, it sounds like you're going to be one of those people right there, kind of like watching, okay, what's happening. So you're watching this too. So I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like when COVID happened, like as somebody, who has, who's certified some and, who's, ability to smell and taste things, not just, beverage, but food as well. Since I've worked in so many restaurants.
You have a refined palate. Yeah.
Well, there's that. And it's like, it's important for me to be able to communicate with that, from on a professional level. So it's like making sure keeping this functioning, is important. I never thought I'd be able to make money with, with this face, but unfortunately, this is where we're at, I'm putting it to work somehow. Right. It's not the front, it's what's behind. That's the important part. But yeah, dude, yeah.
I'm just a focal point. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, man. But yeah, like as far as once again it goes to people's personal experience with that, with stuff like that. And as I said before, like once people kind of learn the language of what they're smelling and experiencing, people become a lot more confident in it, which goes to a point that you made so much earlier about the opportunity that cannabis is like as an industry as a whole. Like, if people are genuinely curious and are willing to, to work with cannabis a little bit, once we plug these holes, there's so many potential, customers, if you want to look at from strictly a business, perspective out there, that we could really help ourselves from an economic perspective. If that's the way you want to look at it. From a health perspective, I think there's a lot of opportunities there. As far as, see, once again, something that, federal legalization can really help as far as is research. Because there's so much, there's stuff that we know anecdotally and on small scale, but there's a lot of things that we don't know. And it's like, and I think it's time that we, allocate serious funds into, what can this plant do from us? Not just from a commodities perspective, but also from a, a medical perspective, and, we can go into all, conversation about, why pharmaceuticals in the health, care industry.
Who hid why? Yeah. Why? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's, speaking of crazy bullshit like that, we're rounding the corner to our last two segments of the show. And the next one is aptly named Crazy W's. The who, what, when, where, and why of just some crazy ass shit. Chris, if you're ready, man, we can get right back into it, bro.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Almost done with the gauntlet, man. At the Crazy W's, Cannabev. Chris, who, what, when, where, and why? Who was with you the first time you got way too high?
A number of people. We were in Amsterdam, and I had we were in Amsterdam. My buddies Nick, Ray, Sarah, Jenny, and Brad. I got way.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good. I can already tell. All right, Crazy W's. Who, what, when, where, and why? What pushed you over the edge?
I was just dumb as hell. I was just used to just smoking like basic ass weed, right? Just basic ass ditch weed. Because like where I went to school was in the middle of nowhere. The weed that you got was what you were smoking. Like this is
you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right? Right.
Exactly. So like you can get like these, gram cones, which I'd never seen before. It can be 100% 50-50 tobacco and then 70-30 tobacco cannabis. So I was like, give me 100%. So this is right after Jack Hare won a whole bunch of cannabis cup, like the cannabis cup awards. So I was like, all right, well, I want that one. So I'm like, I'm bad, and I'm thinking I'm bad as hell. And I just start smoking. And I get about halfway done and the elevator just keeps going up.
No.
And my friends were like, all right, time to go. And I was like, go where? Like,
where y'all going?
Yeah, because I did not want to go. I
ain't doing shit.
I was good. I was way too high. I was way too high.
I love it. We're gonna find out more about this. Crazy W's. Who, what, when, where, and why? When was this?
This 2003, I think 2004, something like that.
Look how profound this is from back. This is profound, y'all. Profound. Speaking of profound, let's find out more about it. Crazy W's. Who, what, when, where, and why? You said it was in Amsterdam, but where in Amsterdam were you?
We stayed in an area. I can't believe I remember this shit. I ain't smoking enough weed. We stayed in an area called like Lead Spline or some shit like that. We were right off one of the canals, and this coffee shop was literally like just across the square. So it was like, all right, we'll go there, and they gave us we had like microwaved Yoo-hoo. That was our hot chocolate, and we talked to some very, very fine German folk that were very politely snickering at how stoned we all were.
You got our buddy Walter there saying he enjoyed his Amsterdam trip well back in 2011. Yeah, dude, I've not made my way there yet. I'm sure I will, most likely, hopefully, with Deliciously Dope. I can only imagine what I'm going to do. I'm not going to keep you in suspense until then. I'm going to smoke a lot of weed. So we already know what that's going to, we already know. What we don't know is Crazy W's who, what, when, where, and why, to wrap it up in a neat little bow to find out like just what was going through your head at that point in time, bud. Why did you just get way too high in Amsterdam?
Like I said, dude, I thought I was bad as hell. Like I thought I was the master smoking all the weed, you know? And I was like, what's this do to me that I haven't already done to myself? Like I can hit a gravity bong. You know, there was a couple of self-made things that we had made as well. It's like, how much rougher could this be? You know, well, I found out real good. And like, you know, my face was, you know, I felt like my face was melting. Like we were going outside, you know. It actually reminded me a lot of my first time getting stoned, because like I went outside and I was like, I had to kind of cover my face because I was giggling so much.
Yeah,
it was that stuff.
We've all been there, man. We've all been there. That leads us to the end of the line, man. The last section of the gauntlet of the W's. But before we get to that, I do have one last kind of side note question. A lot of people are going to, you know, I already asked you earlier, you know, how have terpenes affected your beverages? And we talked about that, you know, with the smell, the taste, and the cannabinoid system. You know, we've established that. Okay. The question that we probably should have added to that, most likely, as to not confuse people and to be a little bit educational, do they have different effects? Yes. Each terpene has a different effect, though some similar, and a lot, they do have different effects. I'm sure that you can elaborate more on that if you, I would like to hear from your perspective.
Yeah. I mean, each terpene, you know, does offer something different. Things like linalool that you'll find that exist in things like lavender and stuff like that. You know, what is lavender already known, you know, to do is to be an anti-inflammatory. Right. You know, like you see it, like, I mean, you know, I know my significant other has stuff that has lavender that's, you know, good for hands when, you know,
people will, they'll take it and spray it on their pillow like a scented thing and go to sleep. It's for calming.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. You know, we know things like, you know, beta caryophyllene is good for, you know, in the endocannabinoid system, you know, as a CB2 receptor. You know, that helps communicate through. That is a very important terpene to help the terpenes communicate through the system itself, especially when it comes down to things like anti-inflammatories and stuff like that, and and relaxants and stuff like that. So like when you're looking at when people are looking at cannabis, you know, you can look at a terpene profile and get a kind of a basic idea of how it's going to affect you. And it's kind of a lot like you said earlier, Chef, with, you know, how the sativa indica thing really doesn't exist anymore simply because of so much hybridization and crossbreeding and stuff like that. And how the terpene profile gives you a little bit better indication. Like, now there will be a lot of naysayers who will, you know, say, you know, well, you can't know. And it's like, right, you can't know, but we do know, you know, in their forms, that these terpenes help with these ailments. There's small studies and plenty of anecdotal evidence as well. So yeah, like when you're looking at, you know, trying to figure out what kind of experience you want, you know, looking at the terpene profile is really important.
Sorry. Bong rips, man. They always do it to you.
Dude. You get rough.
A little bit, you know?
You get rough.
Oh.
Yeah, man. I haven't had a bong rip in a while, dude. I
just got this one, actually. It's about the size of my arm. It's you set it down. It's like a thick little bong for like when I sit down to play Xbox or something. Oh, dude, fucking swear all you want. It's fun. Freedom of speech. It's funny because like we play this on YouTube. We don't monetize off this. We just put it on YouTube so people can find it. So if you want to catch this live, you guys, it's going to be, you know, live every Tuesday, every Thursday. Around 1:17, we're playing with things, like I said. For those of you who follow the TV, you know, Deliciously Dope TV and the show, you know that a lot of changes are happening rather quick. So if we have to move it for an hour again, sorry guys, it is what it is. But we made it happen. You know where it's at. It's going to be played again at 1:17, and we're sending it out to even more, you know, social media networks. So it's definitely coming at you quick. Big moves making. And hopefully, man, I mean, Cannabev, we'd love to have you a part of that, bro. We'd love to help, support what you're doing. Definitely. I love the reviews, bro. Like that shit is broken down so clean. It's awesome. You know what I'm saying? And I love having a variety of it. More so, I kind of want to set up something from like each state so we can keep tabs on who's doing what. I think that's brilliant, and I don't have anybody for Illinois yet. So, maybe that's an opportunity to kind of do a little bit of collaboration.
Yeah, dude.
Speaking of collaboration, man. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry. Speaking of collaboration, man, we've learned kind of where you came from, which, kind of modest, I'll admit. I see that there were some mistakes in your life, that you over, some hurdles you overcame a little bit. You're like, this is what I want to do. Do you think if I would have told you 5 years ago that we would be having this conversation about what we're talking about, do you think that would have happened?
That's a really interesting question. No, I don't think so. Like at that time, like I was doing sales, really into the, the wine sales world, distribution and stuff like that, trying to build a profile in that, trying to become, somebody that somebody relies on in that world. When that kind of all, went away, because, of COVID and, and life and, let's not blame one thing, right? Life happening,
right.
This situation appeared, and I guess to speak to my ego, and and folks can interpret this however they want. Like, as far as the wine world is concerned, I never would have been on, invited on somebody's, podcast or YouTube channel or some shit like that, to talk about wine.
Right.
Like, never. Like. And even if I ever had that opportunity, I would have to do shit the way that they wanted me to do it, and I feel like Cannabev allows me to kind of build that profile in the way in which I want to do it. Like one of the benefits of the channel itself and my Instagram and stuff like that is like none of the big, none of the MSOs are paying my bills. So I say what I want to say about, not just, products, but how people are treated, in the industry itself, how legislation is being viewed and passed and, acted upon, or more importantly in Illinois, not acted upon. These are conversations, once again, that brings down the mystique. Like if you don't want people to think that, cannabis is, for the nefarious, people of our society, then let's remove a lot of the corruption and bullshit about how we talk about it. And let's get real about what cannabis really is and really could be, in the States, in the world, if you want to get meta on it, and I think, yeah, like it's, I don't know, like it's been cool. It's been a great experience, and I mean, same for your experience as well. I mean, building something from
Nothing.
zero,
Yeah.
talking to people, sending emails, and it's like I don't know, I don't want to speak to your experience and how you medicate with cannabis, but like for me, like 5 years ago, I never would have sent those emails to somebody. Hey, dude, do you want to be on my YouTube channel?
Right.
Never would have done it. Never would have, taken the risk of, poking fun at myself on a YouTube video. Why? Because I gotta protect my image as a professional.
Right.
It's like, it's like, whatever, dude, I'm going to be me and I'm going to do me how I want to do me, So, and I think it's cool, man. It's been a fun ride.
I love that. I love that. And obviously we now know, going through the W gauntlet, if you will, what made you into that type of person. And so we've learned who you are, where you came from, what you're doing. What can we expect from here on out? And what better way to see that is to ask you some kind of like oddball questions that no one really thinks about. And then we draw our conclusion from there. So if you're ready for it, man, we got one last like trial of W's.
Let's do it.
Plan W's, buddy. Chris, who, what, when, where, and why? Who do you wish you could smoke with, dead or alive?
Oh, shit, dude. Like, This is kind of like, who do you want to meet meet the most?
Yeah.
Now, I don't like. Does the other person have to smoke weed with you? Because I don't think he would.
You know what? I've never had that question asked, so fuck it. We're gonna do it. No, they don't have to. If you're smoking weed and they're cool with you smoking weed, talking to them, that's fine.
There's so many people like I'd love to meet. I mean, it's like, who would want to smoke a joint with Hemingway, right? You know, that would be awesome. You know,
did you seriously just drop a transcendentalist on me? Did you seriously? You were like, yo, Hemingway.
Yeah, right. I want to smoke a point. I want to smoke a. I'm gonna have right. Thoreau was big on blunts. Love blunts.
Mr. Henry David himself.
I would like to smoke weed with the person I wanted to meet the most. Would have been Muhammad Ali. Okay. Like, I know he wouldn't smoke.
I guarantee you all three of those people smoked weed. I'm not even gonna lie to you. You know damn well they did. That's what transcendentalism is all about. There's existentialism, which is pretty much psychedelics, and then transcendentalism, which is just being high. That's what it is.
Right.
That's what it is. And then you want to, interpret a little bit if you want to look at, the whole philosophical, like Immanuel Kant perspective of life. Just be baked. That's really what it is. Then you get to being the teacher. They're like, oh, by the way, you did all that. You passed all the drug tests. You're a teacher of philosophy now. But by the way, you have to do shrooms. You're like, all right. You know what I mean? Might as well.
You take on certain responsibilities.
Right.
You know, all right. When you get to that level.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. Well, let's look at it this way then. Maybe this will help fine tune it a little bit. Plan W's, who, what, when, where, and why. What would you smoke with them?
I smoke. I don't want to. I feel like I'm being lame with it. It's like I want to smoke a joint. Like Muhammad Ali doesn't seem like the kind of dude. Like if he was going to smoke weed, and he wouldn't. Maybe Cassius Clay would, but like he's the kind of person. Like he's not the kind of dude who's going to do a bong rip, or certainly do a dab rip or something like that. You wouldn't
want to give a dab to Henry David Thoreau.
Right, right. Thoreau, no. Emerson, no. Like next thing you know, that guy would be scaling the walls and stuff.
They'd go to straight to Hunter S. Thompson real quick. That's what happens, man.
Right, exactly. We would be in back country, but instead of Dr. Gonzo,
you'll see him later. You'll see him later.
Yeah, dude. It would probably be a G. You got to be like a smooth smoker. It's got to be chill, and you can step off when you want to. Like,
all right,
bongs, maybe you go a little too far. You know what I mean? And then
what might work though? That old school pipe you smoked with.
Oh,
they think that's fancy as shit. You have a smoking pipe, sir.
Right. It would look craft. It's the finest machinery that we have to date.
You know what you could have, like, real talk though, like you could just been like, hey, it's a peace pipe. They'd be like, yeah, I know what to do with this shit. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I've had this. Trust, I know how to do this. Okay, not my first time. Like they'd have more experience with hemp than I would. Probably they grew up, for longer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if like they knew about weed was legal when they was doing their thing? It was.
Yeah.
Well, damn well they were growing it and smoking it, and then all of a sudden they do. They live their time. There goes down in history, and then Jack Daniels goes, "We can't have this shit, homie. We can't have this shit," and then boom.
Cannabis is like the #1 threat to the the alcohol industry. No question. And it's actually really, really weird. Like when I was studying to get my certification, like I would occasionally ask questions or post something about it because I read this article that it was cheaper for farmers in California to grow cannabis than it was to grow vineyards, and it used less water and had less of effect on the environment.
It actually made the environment better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're right.
It was through a thing called phytoremediation.
Yeah, nice word.
Thank you. Yeah. Don't play Scrabble with me.
Pro move, I like it. Yeah, and I posted about that, and I was like, maybe farmers would turn over their land to do cannabis, and nobody would talk about it. It's really, really strange. Like in those circles, you don't talk about cannabis. You just don't. You don't even acknowledge it. You know, and I guess I guess I'm kind of like, you know, a forsaken son or what have you, as far as the sommelier, you know, industry is, because I've embraced cannabis as I have. But it's like, yeah, in those circles, they just don't talk about it. They don't even acknowledge it as a threat to it. It's like, it's very passe, which is just kind of par for the course for the, you know, the wine industry in general, because they've treated, you know, beer in such a shitty way for so long as well. But we've seen the explosion of craft beer everywhere. It's going to be the same thing with cannabis, hands down. Having the same conversations, like about, you know, the way that Illinois outdoor grow, you know, taste and experience as compared to Michigan outdoor grow. That is 100% going to be a thing, you know. And it's like once again, shows like Deliciously Dope TV and Cannabev are filling in those steps. People are ready to take that step and be like, this is what I expect, and more importantly, demand for my cannabis experience. I'm spending, you know, X amount of dollars on something.
We're helping bridge that informational gap. Absolutely. More to your point, actually, like I've thought about that. Okay, I've thought about that. And so what point did I wanted to add? 2 seconds. So as soon as like this happens, like you're absolutely right. People are going to want, you know, mom and pop shops popping up everywhere. Craft cannabis is going to become a thing. That's going to happen. Okay. The restaurant industry, all of that, you know, everything becomes essential, if you will. It's the moving on of the economy, the simulation, if you will, all of those things. Now, what we don't realize is this. Okay, it's going to come down to like we're erasing stigmas while kind of teaching people the responsibility behind giving these freedoms that should have never been taken away in the first place. You know, advocating and just being a good human being around, you know, trying just to be solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I look at it as kind of like, I wouldn't say stigmas are very similar to, okay, stereotypes. Okay. There's always a stigma tied to a stereotype. A stereotype is the term that we socially, you know, give, you know, to the term of like, I don't know, I wouldn't say an undesirable, but an undesirable. You understand? That's where it came from, y'all.
An other.
That's the point. Exactly. And so in removing that kind of stigma and these stigmas and stuff like that and better educating our people, you have to understand that that's years upon years of us covering it up. So with cannabis and you know, wine culture, here's the differences. Okay. Wine culture, and I'm sure you can agree, and this isn't calling anybody out, but it's all about the hype. You know what I'm saying? These 2 bottles of wine can cost the exact same to make. They're from the exact same winery. One has a specific label, this, and that, and the other. And it's $24 more than this one. What's the difference? Well, the label. Yeah. And people will pay that and then suggest it's 20 times better. That's the point. So it's all about the hype. Whereas in cannabis, it was all about keeping it hush hush. You didn't hear hype shit unless you were talking in front of your weed guy going, yo, bro, that shit I had last week, that was fire. This shit is fucking Diablo. This shit right here, if you smoke this, it's $20 more. It was about the hype, but it was about that instant gratification that I'm going to buy that Snickers bar at the yeah, I guess I am a little peckish. That last sale tactic. That's where that was born from. You understand? A lot of professional stoners, you know, activists alike are now professional businessmen because of that motto. You know what I'm saying? And it's worked in the black market for fucking years. Proof that before federal legalization, you know, here on the national level, the black market is running rampant, and it's always going to. It's going to be here well after. It was well before. It's what got us to this point. You can't take away that foundation. And once you start to fuck with the black market, it's going to out you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to be pretty. That's where we come in. We don't want to piss anybody off. You see what I'm saying? We want to educate everybody. We want to move forward with this. We ain't got to fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The only color at the end of the day is green, man. So speaking of green, to finish it up, bro. Plan W's, who, what, when, where, and why. When, any point in time, bud, would you want to sit down with these people and spark a J?
I want to be like like Roman times or something like that,
Ooh,
you know, but like
okay.
comfortable Roman times, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know, you always, whenever you see yourself like in history, you always see yourself as, you know, essentially, you know, upper class or, you know, or what have you, but it's like, yeah, dude, you know, going around in my toga, you know,
Yeah.
comfortable places to chill out, like let's
Got my
smoke.
Jordan sandals on.
Right, exactly. Just chilling out, you know, like on pillows, and be like, "All right, folks, it's comfortable. We got nothing to do today, but chill
Yeah.
out." Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's no technology, none of that. Ain't got to check this, that, or the other thing. Nothing but be there in that moment. That would be
I
cool.
feel that, man. I feel that. I feel that, dude. I seriously do. Like, that would be if we could go back in time and we could like just. That's why I love Doctor Who. Because you get a like an image of that.
Right?
Remember that? And this might date me. Do you remember a show on PBS? It was called Wishbone.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's my shit, dude. When Wishbone would play these people in these stories, like the reenactment, that's why I'm tied into shit like that. And like that's why I love sci-fi, because like you would see a lot of the reenacting, and that's what, you know, I mean, Lord of the Rings is a huge reenactment, you know, and so it's just like,
Mhm.
dude, I love shit like that. So I absolutely, dude, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, man. Like I don't
Hell
know.
yeah, Roman. I get it.
It's so weird. Like you always look at you know, past time. I don't know. Current times is kind of being like, kind of whatever, because you kind of
Right.
exist in it. You know, it's so easy to kind of romanticize the other time. I mean, like, there's, you know, I don't know, like, I mean, I know I want to be around for the Black Death, like, and that's about
Right.
it. Like, you
You're like,
know,
I'm not picking
Gothic,
that. And
yeah, the
fuck
Gothic times were
dinosaurs, so you
shitty.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like, yeah, right. I don't want anything bigger than me that could potentially eat me. You know,
Yeah.
that's problematic. Like, I don't want to die of like a common disease, you know,
Right.
stuff like that, you know. But yeah, like, it's cool to romanticize those times. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean, shit. I mean, you know, you know, I'll be the cannabis smoker at, you know, what you call it in, shit, you know, royal court of, you know, France or something like that, you know.
Smoking a
Ah,
vape pen in the Vatican.
right, right,
There you
right,
go. There
right.
you go.
The Marquis de Rodi just came back from his expedition to the New World, and he brought back this
Yeah.
plant. He hasn't stopped laughing for days.
Yeah. It's very sticky. Aptly called sticky icky. What is sticky icky? You
Right.
know. I
Oh,
fucking love it, man. I love it.
that's something we need to bring back. That's one thing that
Yeah.
Illinois doesn't have. It does not
Yeah.
have sticky icky. Like, I need something
Ooh.
sticky. You know, that's always important for me. Like when your fingers are
All
sticking
right.
together, it's like,
I got something for you. All right. Can you
uh,
guys cultivate your own cannabis there?
yes, I would.
Do you?
Unfortunately, like I got two evil cats that like to tackle things that are standing up tall, and
Yep.
then my basement isn't as dry as I need it to be.
Fair enough.
It's
I
like,
would definitely invest in some grow tents. You know, dude, it's worth it. I started growing my own. So when you do grow your own, okay, I have a company out of Boston called Beantown Greentown, and they have a genetic called Ninja Cookies.
okay,
When you want to grow it, you let me know. I'll send you some. I'll get you some seeds. I'll bring you some seeds, and you can put them in the ground, man. Um,
okay,
I, they already popped, so I'm like, yo, let's do this. I'm excited. I'll send you some pictures for sure. For sure.
please, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I'll be jealous. I'll be happy for you, but jealous as fuck.
Oh, you're right, dude. Hey, I can travel with it, and I can travel in both Illinois and Michigan. I'll bring you some. Like when it's done, I will bring you some, buddy. Hold me to that. I will
All
bring you
right,
some.
all right, all
Speaking
right.
of bringing you some, man,
Where
here
you're
we
at.
are. Last two questions of the day. I appreciate your time here. We ran it over a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it's just, it shows the passion. It shows how much we really care about it. And honestly, you know what, dude? Everything happens for a reason. You feel me? So whether we want to dictate that or not, it is what it is. We smoked weed. We had a good time. Again, thank you to my guest today, CHRIS RHODE from Cannabev. You guys go check him out. YouTube.com/Cannabev, on Instagram at Cannabev. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Do you have a Facebook?
No, I don't. I mean, I have the what you call it, the handle. I'm Cannabev 420 on Reddit.
Oh yeah, Reddit. I should definitely be doing a Reddit thing.
And then yeah, it's cool. And Cannabev1 on Twitter, which I've never tweeted before. I don't know if anybody really needs to know immediately what I'm thinking. It's usually good for it to go through some kind of filter before I put it out into the world for my sake.
I call it a filter of smoke.
Yeah, precisely. Dumb shit's happening here all the time, and you don't need to know about all of it.
No. That's why, you know, if somebody comes out and goes like, hey, comes over to your house. Remember back when DVDs were a thing? Remember that technology and VHS and shit? Yeah, that's dating. Yeah. They'd come over like, hey, can I borrow a movie? You walk them straight to your porn section. You were like, and I have this. They're like, oh, can I go in there? Like, who would say yes to that even? Like, you're like, oh, do you like boobs? A lot of those, man. A lot of those.
That direction.
That's fun, isn't it, buddy? Come on.
One of my first jobs was at Blockbuster Video, and we would regularly get calls and lots of disappointment from folks that were not able to rent pornography from us. But we said that we were a family video, and then when family video came out and they had pornography, like it would actually happen like once every like 2 or 3 months. Somebody would, you know, slyly and smartly call in and be like, hey, do you have, we'd say we're a family video, and they'd be like, well, family video has porn. But yeah, that's a tangent. That's a tangent for me dating myself. But yes, I'm aware of media. I mean, huge floppy disks, little floppy disks, mini disc. The fuck was that?
CD-ROMs or a thing?
My buddy Justin, actually, that we spoke of earlier, he actually has a laser dick.
Laser dick.
Right, exactly. How would you know that? He has a laser disc copy of the original Star Wars before all of the edits, all of the special edition. Yeah, I mean, he's got.
If you can get a hold of him and we can set this up, I will provide the snacks and the smokage, and we're gonna sit down and watch this. That's how it was meant to be, man.
We would probably have to like rent a laserdisc like player. I mean, I don't.
You can probably buy one
anymore. Right, for $5.
If that, you could probably make one.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if I have quite. Certainly not when I'm stoned to make a laserdisc.
I'll get baked and build
figure it out. All right, dude.
I'll try.
It's
because it's funny because it's like that's what I did with my studio, like all the diffused lighting and stuff. I built it. I went online. I looked up. I was like, well, that's a lot of money to do these things and ring lights and mics and all this and And I was like, wait a minute, can I build it? And then I got really high. I was like, yes, I can. So that tiny little voice in the back of my head screaming, yes, I can. This cold, dark room. I listened to that asshole. And here we are.
Yeah, dude. Hey, man. To me, I mean, that's what Cannabev is. I mean, shit. I've got my lights set up. I mean, my studio is, you know, the other room that we have inside the house, you know. Looking at, you know, at other channels and stuff like, it's like, oh, they put a light here, light there. You know, they're creating, you know, angles and stuff like this. It's like, oh, I can recreate that. And all of that, like, I learned, you know. There's very little that you can't learn from watching YouTube. YouTube will help you with a lot of stuff. You know?
Absolutely. And if there's any questions for it, we're here to ask. Usually catch us when we're smoking. That's when you get the best answers. I'm joking. I mean, at least for me, that's the truth. But we all have.
I do my best thinking on cannabis, for real. For real.
It takes the fear out of the equation. Exactly.
Right.
Speaking of taking the fear out of the equation, we have 2 more answers we got to get through. And then we got it. You know, we're way over time today, but hey, we're having a blast. We're having a blast. We're almost there.
Yeah, dude. I love having the conversation.
Plan W's, Chris. Who, what, when, where, and why? Where would you take Thoreau? You know, the transcendentalists. Okay.
The entire
where would you take them in Roman times? Where?
Man, Roman
the Parthenon.
Right. The Parthenon could be cool. You know what? You know what would be cool? We're going back that time. Let's go to Alexandria, right?
Okay.
Right on the ocean, right? The what you call it? The Great Lighthouse, still there, right? We would see something like one of the great wonders of the world that doesn't exist anymore. That would be kind of bitching. So like we'd be on the shore and stuff like that. We'd be international, you know, in that time. Like, let's do that. Let's go to Alexandria.
Yeah. I say cruise down the Nile, man, at night. You feel me? Like in one of those old school boats watching the hippos and the crocs and shit. Like that shit would be dope.
Chilling out. Right.
Like
exactly.
Egyptians were badass. badass, because mainly because we know for a fact they fucking smoked weed. That's basically it. No, I played Assassin's Creed, the Assassin's Creed Origins, which was Egyptian based, and that actually taught me.
How was that? Was it good?
Oh, it's really good.
Was it good?
It's really good.
Yeah.
Definitely good. Definitely good bait and play.
The last one I played, it was like 1880s London. I haven't played one since then.
So
like
3. No, it was Syndicate. You're right. It was Syndicate. Yeah. So yeah, no, that was Syndicate, and then after Syndicate comes Origins, which is the Egyptian one, which goes way back in time, and then after the Egyptian one, I think it's called like Odyssey, which is like Roman, like, you know, the Greek gods and shit like that, and Roman goddesses and shit, and then it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is all Norse based and completely changes the way that you play the game and things like that, you know. So it's like definitely worth picking up, definitely worth playing, especially if you get like a good like train wreck or a Bruce Banner in you, or some SFLG, you know, SFGOG, you know what I'm saying? It's fucking, that shit's really, really good. Speaking of really good, man, we have reached the last question of the show to tie everything up that we know about Cannabev and Mr. CHRIS RHODE himself. The plan W is, my man, to learn everything there is to know about you. Who, what, when, where, and why. Why, in a nutshell, would you smoke with transcendentalists on said River Nile in Alexandria smoking joints? Why would this happen?
This would happen like, all right, let's put this all together.
Do it.
We're all in a foreign land, in a foreign time, you know, we're not familiar with the area, we don't speak the language. Like, the only thing that we can do right there is kind of chill out and kind of be in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. To really think those, you know, those meta thoughts like those dudes wanted to think. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why we would be there. That's what we would be there. Like, we'd be to our own faculties, we wouldn't be familiar, there's no distraction, there's nowhere to be, you know, we couldn't talk to somebody else that wouldn't be the couple of us. That's where it's at.
I don't think that you could have painted much more of a symphonic, you know, soliloquy such as that. You know what I'm saying? That's that. The illustrations there were very elaborate, very profound. It has an art, you know, like an artistic hue to it, as any fine wine would. That kind of goes along with being able to point out terpenes, the flavors and things like that, and being able to describe them. Your descriptive nature definitely puts a verb, you know, behind each one of those connotations, and I absolutely fucking love it, man. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. That's you know,
you to say, man.
Yeah, thank you. You know, you learn more from people if you just give them a conversation with who, what, when, where, and why. A lot of people are like, oh, that's so fucking stupid. But hang on a second. Mm. If I'm learning about somebody, I'm going to write who, what, when, why. And, you know, obviously we fucking know how. You know, I smoke fucking weed. Like, that's what we know how that's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right, it's like, to get you.
Exactly. Just get it in you. We know what happens. You know what I mean? You'll figure it out. You'll see the bats later. You feel me? So, yeah. But it's the who, what, when, where, and why. That's what really tells the appropriation, the gratitude, and everything, the passion behind what a person does. And we were able to take, you know, it and apply that to cannabis, you know, past, present, and future, while asking some pretty deep, you know, kind of in-depth questions that weren't too personal. You know, so I think that gives people an overall view of what we can expect from Mr. CHRIS RHODE here, you know, and doing Cannabev, man. Huge things. I'm already a fan. I absolutely fucking love your shit, dude. Like, it's legit.
So.
Some of the best I've seen out there. I've seen a lot of good shit. You've seen a lot of terrible shit too, but dude, it was, you know, it was really, really good, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. I appreciate it. Where can people find you again?
You can find me at Cannabev on Instagram, on YouTube, of course, Cannabev420 on Reddit, Cannabev1 on Twitter. If you really want to email me at Cannabev420@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Shout out to our boy Walter K. He says he's going to be, you know, a new CannaFam with you there at Cannabev, bro. I love it, bro. I love it. I love it. Dude, I'm just gonna go watch it.
Thanks,
That's what I'm gonna do.
Thanks,
I'm gonna pop
man.
this shit on my phone
Hey,
and do
man,
what I
this
gotta
has
do,
been
bro.
great. I love what you're doing, dude. Having these conversations are super important. We're working so hard and breaking down these stigmas and make it seem like we're a bunch of potheads and we're not doing this. We're just talking crazy talk and we're a bunch of people wasting our time. It's like, no, people that consume cannabis, like they do, they build, YouTube channels and, run businesses, with the benefit of cannabis, not as a hindrance. And thank you so much for the kind of work you're doing and getting information out to the people, man. That's important. That's important.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, brother. Well, we have officially hit the, over mark of another edition of Deliciously Dope's Daily Chronicles. We went a little bit over for starting a little bit early today, but we really definitely wanted to get, Mr. CHRIS RHODE out here, letting y'all know about Cannabev and what you can expect from him in the future. But all right, my jokers, tokers, and smokers, I'm your boy, Chef Rodney 117. This is the end of the show. You know what's going to happen. We'll see you Thursday. No one's going anywhere. Again, Chris, thank you very much, man. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.